All right, here we are. Thank you. Thank you so much, family. If you are here with us today on Unapologetically Dee, thank you so much for hanging out with us, coming and listening to these amazing stories. Again, real people, real voices, and I always want to make a real impact. And this episode is exactly that because Mrs. Tonita Webb has been a beautiful woman that I have known for quite some time. Met her through my mom. But when we get into her story, the reasons as to why I wanted to have her on this podcast is because I know she has a story to tell. Her story is absolutely amazing. The things that she has been able to accomplish, I just feel like it is truly going to speak to many people out there. So, without further ado, Tonita, would you please introduce yourself to the family?
Yes, I am Tonita Webb, and as Dee said, in the title of this podcast, I'm a CEO, but more importantly, I am a wife and a mom. I've also served my country in the Air Force, so I'm a veteran. And a couple of years ago, I got my PhD, so I have a doctorate too, and I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, I'm a sister. I'm all of the things that we all face on a daily basis, and all of it comes with challenges.
That could not have been said any better. All of those things with a beautiful bow, but yes, they do come with challenges. So that's one of the things that we are going to talk about, maybe some of the challenges that you have faced, just your journey and your testimony. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. Like Tonita said, the title for this episode is CEO Veteran, Wife and Mom Leading Out Loud. So, Tonita, when you stepped into leadership as the first woman and the first Black woman at CEO, or let me reverse that here. When you very first stepped into leadership as the first woman and first African American woman CEO at Verity, what was the emotional reality of that moment for you?
You know, that the position that I was in had never been done there before. And I didn't know what the expectations were
Hmm.
of me. I think, not that I think, I know I could see curiosity on people's faces. There
Mhm.
was definitely some folks that had negative opinions about my race and my gender. All I know, and I don't think this is necessarily a good thing all the time, but what really sat with me was, okay, I got to get this right for all that follow me. And
Mhm.
that's a pressure that we often get because of, for whatever reasons in this country, and we all know the reasons. There's still a lot of firsts that are happening that should not be happening,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
I entered the role in 2021, seriously, in Seattle. I'm the
Yeah.
first Black woman to
Mm.
hold this role. And that comes with a lot of pressure. Not the pressure if I can do the job, not the
Yeah.
pressure if I know how to do the job, the
Mhm.
pressure of making any kind of mistake because you
Yeah.
don't want to mess it up for folks that come after you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like maybe there were some of your colleagues that might have, like, for lack of a better term, had a side eye, or like, here she comes in here to do X, Y, and Z. What is she going to do?
Exactly. That
Yeah.
you hit the nail right on the head. Some folks wondered out loud,
Mm.
was I a diversity hire?
Oh,
Does it matter that I
yeah.
had a lot of years of executive experience? At
Mm-hmm.
that point, I had an undergrad, I had a master's, I was all but dissertation at that point.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I was qualified, and it didn't matter my gender or my race. I was qualified to do the job because
Yeah.
of the experiences I have had previous and the investment I had in my education.
Yes, yes, which is something that you have to want to do, right? It's not like people
Exactly.
sign up and say, "Hey, I want to go and spend this amount of years to
Right.
better educate myself, to further myself, to be the best version of myself." I mean, yes, there are individuals out there that they might take steps and might take courses and do things like that, and that is extremely beneficial and important as well in their journey.
Mhm.
But I, without having gone through it myself, I say this a lot. Me, when it comes to studying and like being able to take tests and things like that, that's not my jam, Tony.
No,
It is
and that's no problem. That is not a problem, but I will tell you why it's my jam. Earlier in my life, I grew up in a single parent home. My
Yeah.
parents split up not too long after I was born or after my brother was born. And
Mhm.
I was in a situation, I didn't have a bad childhood or a bad home. I had a great nuclear family that made sure we had everything we needed, but I knew I didn't want to stay in that place,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
for me, education was it for me. I
Yeah.
knew this was my tool
Hmm.
to be able to go somewhere else. As a kid, I would daydream. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just a daydreamer, and I would dream of being somewhere else. And
Mm.
I lived in a kind of small town, but not too far from DC. Had relatives up north in New York. I had even spent some time in New Jersey. And I kept seeing myself living in the city, but I knew it wasn't DC, which was
Yeah.
the natural place for me to go, or even New York or Philadelphia, which I had spent time in all of those places.
Mhm.
Um, I was going to be somewhere, and I just knew it wasn't there. And I just kept working towards it.
Yeah.
Even while I was in college,
Mhm.
I knew I didn't want a lot of student loans. So, what
Yeah.
was the best way for me to pay for my education? I was like, I grew up in Hampton Roads. There's every base in Hampton Roads. So,
Okay.
military presence was
Yes.
always part of my life.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, I could go into the Air Force. And
Yeah.
they have GI Bill. And I
Mm.
heard that on base classes are not that much, and all that was true. Now them stationed me back in Hampton, Virginia, where I was at Hampton University. Now that was a lie. They didn't do
Yeah.
that. And that was probably for my benefit. But education benefits were real, and I took advantage of them, and I
Hmm.
was able, because education was my way out.
Yeah.
um, I was able to utilize those, and
Hmm.
I'm now a CEO. I didn't see that back then, but I knew this is the one thing that could lead me to wherever I needed to go. And the Air Force led me here to the Seattle area. We've made it our home for the last 30 years, and I've been able to be successful in my career.
Yeah, which is so amazing. And I couldn't agree with you more. I really wish that I had that gift to be able to. I think it's just like an anxious thing when it comes to the
Mhm,
test taking. My
mhm,
brain just doesn't. But if you put me in front of a room of 1,000, 10,000 people and you want me to deliver a message, I could do that all day, any day, right? I'm just
yeah.
very comfortable in that.
Mhm,
And that's actually what you said rings so true to me. And that, and I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I actually got this on the recording, but that I've been laid off twice in the last 5 years. And, a lot of my learning was either in courses that I took as add-ons or
mhm,
on the job training. But when I
mhm,
had my son, I said, if there is one thing I'm going to do, it is
mhm.
going to get him through school,
Hmm.
get him a degree. And thank you, Jesus, we did that. We did that. And you know what? It
Mhm.
is something that you can always, I'm not saying that my experiences that I have from being in the same industry for as many years as I was are not a good thing and I value them.
Mhm.
But nowadays, especially when it comes to even just getting your foot in the door in a
Yeah,
lot of situations, if you don't have that on
yeah,
your resume that you have the education, just don't even think about it because you're getting
right.
booted out of the system before. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And like I said, that's why I said, Derek, you will be going to school, son. I mean, and you know what? It could be a trade school. It could
Yeah,
absolutely be a trade school, but I just
absolutely.
wanted for him to have something
Yeah.
that he could have with him that nobody can take that away from you, right?
That's that part right there.
Yeah.
That's your work. You
Yeah.
did that. And I
Yes.
don't care what they think about you, they can't take that away from
Yes, yes. And
you.
that is the
Mhm.
thing that I hold so closely. And I think he appreciates that, even though there might have been times
Oh
he
no,
might
I get it.
be like, you have cool,
Uh-huh.
right?
That's right.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, so we kind of talked about this a little bit. When you
Mhm.
walked into rooms with people in your
Mhm.
profession that don't look like you, because
Mhm.
I'm 100% sure that that's happened. How do you feel? Like, how do you, even in just our small conversation, just right now, even knowing for
Mhm.
you for many years, what I pick up is that you are able to adapt to your surroundings and you're just going to be Tonita. But I'm going to let you go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And it's been a journey to get there, and I know this is another podcast, but my mom was ill my whole life. So I had to sometimes go live with her sisters.
Mm,
Um, and the one sister lived where we were from, so knew everyone in our town. But I also had a younger brother and sister. And so the sister that lived where we're from, she often took those, and I went with the older sister
okay.
who husband was an executive, so they moved a lot of places. And moved to places that weren't a lot of people who looked like me. And I remember going to New Jersey and thinking, oh, I love Jersey. I love, New York and all that. Yeah, we weren't in that part, right? Wasn't a lot of diversity.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
um, and I had to learn how to make friends. And I should add, where I grew up, it is, I think it's like 58, 60% Black in
Okay.
this town. So
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing people who look like me. I've
Yeah.
seen successful Black people. I've seen Black people on the spectrum because we're not all a monolith, right?
Right.
And so I'm in this place where we were the only Black people who lived in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
The neighborhood was primarily Jewish
Mm,
people, to be honest. And it was the first time in my life that I experienced racism against, from my view, in the way I grew up, white people against white people, because there were um Jewish families, and then the
uh-huh.
neighborhood before ours on the bus route was an Italian. And
Oh,
so on the
okay.
bus, these two groups would go at one another. And I'm
Wow.
like, what you,
Yeah.
yeah, y'all the same. What are you
Uh-huh.
doing?
Yeah.
And that was my introduction into differences beyond color,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
In values, in culture,
Hmm.
all of the things. And that's, I developed this habit of, okay, let me look, let me see what's happening. And then I use that tool when I get into a space, I kind of observe what the vibe is,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that allows me to be able to belong, right? And
Yep.
on that journey, especially when you go into a lot of places that don't look like you don't want to be a stereotype. And
Yes.
and in my mind, I was because my mom had me as a teenager. I grew up in a single parent home. My mom was ill and I wasn't always in the same place. And those things caused me shame.
Yeah.
Um, and I wouldn't show up as my authentic self because I felt like I didn't have all the right tools and things to be successful. But I decided, my daughter likes to say, you are probably 13% of the population because I often do this. I'm like, okay, something's not right, or I gotta be feeling something because I experienced this. So I was 20 some years old and I started my therapy journey
Yeah.
that
Okay.
I unpacked all those feelings of not feeling like I belong. And
Yeah.
through that journey, I was like, who is anyone to tell me I don't belong? I
Hmm.
belong because I'm there. And
Hmm.
whether they like me or not, or whether they're looking at me side eye or
Yeah.
wondering about me, that says more about them than it does me. And
So
I'm
true.
going to show up as myself. But
Yep.
that's been a journey.
Yes.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, I again, so many things as I was putting together like how I wanted the episode to roll out and looking at some of the questions and things like that, I said, you know what? You can identify with so many different things because same for me, it's been a journey growing up in Renton, which Renton,
Mhm,
and back
mhm.
when I was living there, it was not as diverse as what it is now.
Right,
There was
right.
probably like, I don't know, maybe 50 black kids at my high school, maybe, and
Mhm,
we were all in
mhm.
the Black Student Union.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm,
and then going into information technology, specifically
mhm,
in where I am and what I was doing in distribution.
mhm.
Um, Not any other black women for many
Yeah.
years while I was doing it. And then later on I started to see more. There might have been some here scattered throughout, but primarily in other parts of the country. So anytime
Right.
that we would do something where it was like everybody from across the country comes together for a summit or something like that, and you get to
Mhm.
see all of the diversity, it was nice, right? But
Right.
like you, I
Yeah.
think I learned from early on, always being one of not very many. And
Mhm.
then also with my dad
Mhm.
the first black firefighter in the city of there's just so
Yeah.
many things, and just also like you said, you do belong.
Mhm.
You're there, right?
Mhm.
And the person that's to your left and to your right shouldn't be there. They don't have any more right to be there than you do.
That's
So
right.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really good. And like you mentioned, the therapy thing, it's so important for people to understand that therapy is okay. Like it's so
Yeah.
okay. And I know a lot in our community, like in the Black community, I think it's getting better now. But
Yeah.
I think a lot more back then, it was like, don't even
It
talk
was
about it,
not
right?
okay. It was not
Yeah,
okay.
that
Yeah.
makes you like not a strong person. If you have to do that, if you can't take care of it on your own, then you must not be strong. And
That's
I
right.
I disagree with that so much. And I'm so glad that you brought
For
that up. Is
real.
that when you face traumas in your life, regardless of when they happen, if
Mhm.
that is something that you feel is going to get you started into feeling better, then I
Mhm.
say, yes, I signed myself up for it and
Mhm.
continuously say that it is so important to be open to that. If that's what you
Yeah.
feel, that's what you feel. Not everybody is.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
Yes, this is such a good one. Okay, this one I can identify with because I did not have any time in the service. But
Mhm.
for you, I'm married to a Marine, so I know that it has definitely shaped him and how he is right now. But you are a female, so that makes it
Mhm.
even different. And you are an African American female. So your experience in the Air Force, how do you feel like that overall has shaped you and shaped your life to what it is today?
Yeah, another really good question, and just even your emphasis is spot on. Um, for whatever reason, I don't like to do anything easy. So when I joined the Air Force, I wanted to get right back in school. So there is normally a wait list for the Air Force. So the recruiter was like, "Well, we have this job, security police." I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Hadn't ever
Yeah.
touched a gun in my life, right?
Mhm.
And I said, sure, I'll take it. What I didn't know, it had only been a few years that they had allowed women to do that job. And
Okay.
so when I went in, it was no more than when I first went in, one, two, maybe three women in
Oh,
the
wow.
unit. And we were all on different flights, which is different shifts.
Mhm.
And there wasn't anyone that looked like me as a woman. There were some black males,
Mhm.
and it's funny, my first duty station was in Berlin, Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
so few of us
Yeah.
that I feel like folks knew you were arriving before you even got there. Like, soon as I landed, folks were like, "Hey, you in this unit and that unit." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you know that is 36 years ago that I was stationed into Berlin? The black folks that were stationed there, we all still have a group chat
You
because
do?
we do. We were all each other's lifeline. Yeah.
Yes.
Because we weren't as accepted as you think we should be. And me as a woman, and I'm the only woman on the group chat, uh, I was the only one. I
Yeah.
was the only one. Now there were other black women in other units,
Yeah.
um, but for whatever reason, because a lot of us on this group chat were security police,
Okay.
we all just had a bond, and we all had a goal to finish school, right, and
Mhm.
to become something in life, and we help one another. One of the guys that's on that group chat, him and my husband were roommates. We
Oh,
went through security police together before we even got to Berlin. We just all got stationed there. He just retired this year
oh,
as
wow.
a full blown colonel.
Oh,
And
wow.
he said before he retired, he used this me as an example and himself as an example to his troops
Mm.
that this doesn't have to be your career, but
Yeah.
you could still be successful. You can use this to launch whatever it is you want to do in life because
Mhm.
we have very different paths, but started on the same path.
Yeah.
And we veered off and both had very successful careers. In fact, like I said, he was a full-blown colonel by the time he retired.
Mhm.
They used to call me chief civilian officer because
Yeah.
I was always about what's not right, what's not fair,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is, you can't treat people that way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I enjoyed my time in the military, and
Yeah.
it helped me realize what I'm here to do.
Hmm. I love that, Tonita. I am in my work, I had an opportunity because for a good period of my career, I worked with
Mhm.
the government. So
Mhm.
local, I was blessed with an opportunity to travel over to Asia. I
Oh, yes.
went to Okinawa, Japan, and Korea, and I
Okay.
was able to interact with all different types of people because they were all my customers, right?
Yeah.
But when I was able to spend some time with customers that were contractors and not in the military, and they kind of
Hmm.
showed me around and all of that, I said, well, if this isn't just like a whole full blown like city of life
Yeah.
and people and like
Yep.
community. And I have a fellow instructor that we used to do cycle instructing together. And he was stationed in Germany not too long
Hmm.
ago. And he's always putting things up on Facebook about, come and join me for this workout class. It's no different. And I love that you are still in contact and have that those friendships that are like
Hmm.
lifelong friendships that you made. You both were, everybody was experiencing the same thing, and like you said, had the same mindset, wanting to get through school and
Yeah.
make something of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In an environment where not everyone thought we should be there, right?
Yes. Even in that
Um,
situation, which
yeah.
is just so sad to me, but I understand. I understand
Hmm.
because I have heard that before.
Hmm.
Like you said it earlier, you made the choice to serve your country.
That's
You
right.
just like everybody else should be there. People
Yes.
sometimes, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, this is a good one. So, talking about just your path in general,
Mhm.
you're a veteran, CEO, mom, wife, all of these things. How, in your career, is really quite impressive. So, we talked about how you are a CEO, but can you give just a little backstory on your career path? Because otherwise, I don't think that this question will make any sense.
Yeah. So, you know, the backstory is I was just open to experiences. I
Mhm,
can't say my path was planned. I was open to whatever was going to come. And I had some bottom lines, right? I was not going to go back and live with my mom. I needed to figure this out. I
mhm.
did not want to go back to where I'm from and live because I needed to figure out who I was,
Yeah,
right? And so I was going to take experiences that were given me and learn from it, right?
yeah,
I joined the military. I didn't know if I was going to be a lifer or not.
mhm,
I figured out by the time all the places you named out, I've been to all of them because I
yeah.
was sent TDY here and there, and um, it, it, some people do it. It didn't work for me when I started having children.
Okay, yes.
So that was definitely, I'm not going to be a lifer,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not going to be a lifer. What is my next pivot, right? I'm going
Mhm,
to finish out my enlistment, but I need a plan. And
yeah.
so I'm always thinking about the next step
Mhm, mhm.
and whatever opportunity. I don't have a bottom line of, oh, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I thought it was going to be. I've always been open to try
Okay.
and to
Okay.
see what I can learn. I didn't think I was going to be in banking.
I was going to
But
ask you that.
no, I went to undergrad studying engineering.
Oh, you did.
I
Oh
did
my
because I was
God.
good at math and science.
Yeah.
So there was a big push in the 80s
Hmm.
for African Americans.
Okay. I started it. Yep. Go ahead.
So I studied engineering.
Okay.
And I decided to I when I was in engineering, I guess I was good at math and science. So that's
Uh-huh.
the reason why I
Always,
stuck
like
with
all
it.
throughout your whole entire
Yeah, through high
education.
school, yeah, through
Okay.
everything. And so that's why I stuck with it. But my freshman year in
Hmm.
undergrad, I was like, wait a minute. I like to talk. I like to visit. I like to do things. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, engineer, probably not the best thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I pivoted
Hmm.
to computer science so that because it could transfer easy.
Okay. Okay.
But I knew that was not that was it's not what I wanted to do, but I needed the degree. That was all
Okay.
that was in my head. And so when I joined the military and I was a security police officer, that's all about people, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
decided, wow, I like this. I don't necessarily want to do the job forever, but I
Uh,
like what I'm doing. And I was good at being a desk sergeant. So they made me a trainer. So I was training everyone that came through, and that just put me on the path of human resources. And
okay.
yeah, and so that's what I did for many years. I made it up to a chief human resources officer, and I had a CEO who saw something in me, and he just asked me a question.
Yeah.
He said, "What are you gonna do with your life?" I said, "What do you mean? What I'm gonna do with it? Am I not
What are
doing
you
a
talking
good
about?
job?" But because I'm a processor and a thinker, I thought about what he said, and instead of getting offended, I was like, "Does he see something else in me?" So I went back in and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And
Yeah.
then that started me on the journey to be in other positions in my company that
Yeah.
led me to this role of CEO. But
That
it
is
took
such,
me being open.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say that, isn't it
Mhm.
such a beautiful thing when you can be open
Mhm.
and kind of have a bigger, your mindset is your how do I want to say it? I guess you just think bigger. You just think
Mhm.
bigger. Like you don't put yourself into a box. That's the
Right.
nicest way, the easiest way to put it. And by you being willing to go back in and have that, ask that question, which, like we said before, conversations cost nothing, right? So,
Right.
uh, go in and have that conversation. He
Mhm.
saw something or she saw something in you, and then you were like, wait a minute.